Kashmir. I don't know, Sitrep, if you can clarify that, if you've heard anything.
I'm going to look into it, but I would preface that that's a somewhat regular occurrence. We'll look into it, and that's something to my earlier point that I was highlighting is that the next area we're going to see very likely an escalation or response is along the LOC. But if I may, Piotr, I think there's an important point to kind of a possible Pakistani response, right? Earlier today, Pakistan accused India of supporting something they've claimed repeatedly of being responsible for supporting kind of Baluchistan Liberation Army's attacks against Pakistani forces. There was an attack that killed, I believe, 7 Pakistani soldiers. Pakistan has accused India of supporting those terrorist organizations and killing Pakistani soldiers. So then the question then becomes: is that as India targeted terrorist camps or terrorist infrastructures that they claimed were inside of Pakistan? Does Pakistan now take the same vein and to conduct attacks against India, framing it within the Baluchistan context?
Well, actually, that's actually a really good point that you brought up. But the thing about Baluchistan as well is that those people, as well as the Pashtuns in Pakistan, are sick and tired of the way that the Punjabis in Pakistan have been running the government, because what they're doing is that they're using the wealth and the mineral resources of that land, but they're not adequately paying out the people of that land that are actually sitting on that property, right? And the problem is that the Baluchistan revolution does not have the numbers to take on the Pakistani army. But what will happen as a result of war with India is that people in Baluchistan and the Pashtuns will take it as an opportunity to now fight the Pakistani army as well. So Pakistan will be fighting a 3-front war, right? They're going to be fighting in one end. They're going to be fighting the Pashtuns and the Balochis on the other end, and then they also have to worry about Afghanistan on the left, right? So
I think we should let's slow down a little bit.
I have the right to respond to this. What he said. The basic thing is that we have undeniable evidence of Indian involvement in Balochistan. And let me tell you that it was not by Pakistani intelligence or some officials, but it was BLA itself in 2017 when it issued a statement against its own commander, Aslam Baloch, and it said that Aslam Baloch went to India without authority and he came back and did something wrong against the organization, so we are expelling him. And he spent 4 months in Delhi, and it was reported by the Hindu, not the Pakistani newspapers, that he was treated in Indian hospitals in Delhi. So all the BLA and Indian connection are a well-documented fact. It is not a rhetoric or an intelligence report by anybody. It is open source and available and can be verified. So India has...
Okay, so what I want to do is not go too far down the road of Balochistan.
So I was actually expecting that we will discuss the...
Okay, guys, I'm just going to use the mute button if we're going to be talking over one another, including co-hosts. I know what you're trying to do, Abdul. I appreciate it. But I am just drawing a line under the Balochistan aspect, because otherwise that can get carried away into separatism and independence movements. And I get your point, it's all related, but I do want to be quite news update focused, if that makes sense, that we can have more spaces about the historical significance or relations of that. Okay, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's just we have to try to channel this conversation, otherwise it can go anywhere, right? But to your point, I think that we need to first wait to see how Pakistan is going to respond. They are going to respond, especially now that there's a confirmed a fatality. And more significantly, I think, is that I personally don't agree there's going to be a multi-pronged or sort of front-line conflict. I get your point, whoever it was, saying about Pakistan having loads of issues across loads of other borders, but I think this is going to largely be a bilateral affair.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, Pakistan, it's trending right now, but initial reports that Pakistan has announced the closure of their airspace for 48 hours. And then we have a specific geolocated strike. I'm going to share it soon in the nest in Kotli. Once I get the actual grids, I'll put it on, but we have an attack also on Kotli. And then, closing its airspace for the next 48 hours, which is kind of standard for increasing military tensions.
Pakistan has started to respond. I just confirm you that the Pakistan has started to respond just from official sources. It is confirmed to me just right now. Pakistan has started to respond. Not clear what is the response, but not clear so far. But Pakistan has started to respond. This is just I got the message while you were talking.
Piotr,
okay, but what does that mean though? Because closing airspace is a response; it's a defensive response, not an offensive response. Right?
Guys, not closing the response. I think Pakistan has started to hit back inside India.
There's no reports of explosions in India at the moment.
Piotr, I actually wanted to respond to your point earlier.
Guys, listen up before we go into this, right? Look,
Okay, sorry, no one says listen up. And guys, this is how we're going to do it to the co-hosts. Revolution, if you want to speak, raise your hand like Jess has, and we'll come to you. Let's be mindful of where we are. Thank you. Jess, go ahead. Double mute, by the way, Jess.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me okay? So
yeah, well, loud and clear.
So one thing I really think is an important point to bring up here. I noticed, I think it was last week, that Muhammad Yunus and the new Bangladesh administration, because I mean technically, right, they haven't really elected a total government yet still. So while they're kind of working that out, that they were actually in Beijing and they were meeting China, and in addition have obviously been forging much closer ties with Pakistan. So one of the things that I immediately think about with this, I don't think it's been brought up, or she could just start space here all this, but I think we need to really watch what Bangladesh does if Pakistan indeed responds, because in that sense, the idea of India fighting a two-front war, we're talking about really more like a three-front war. Potential exists that if Bangladesh was to say, you know what, we're going to be with Pakistan on this. Honestly, there's no reason right now to think that that wouldn't be exactly what happens. Then India's going to have problems in multiple places, far, far, far beyond the border with Pakistan. And I think that's really like, I'm kind of wondering if that's where this ultimately develops. And then if that was the case, you know, what would China do? Because you have China really trying to figure out what's its place vis-a-vis India, but also Bangladesh, and of course, all of the other neighboring states there in the region, because they're trying to figure out how do we manage the impact from these tariffs. So I'm looking at that, I'm thinking maybe this could mushroom into much, much more, even also economically, but militarily, you're looking at a really unstable situation to the east as well. I think we need to watch that. I've been reading all these sources in Bangladesh that I try to monitor, and I'm not seeing anything yet about this, but
yeah, I think
I'll
that's
let
a
you guys
good
know if
point,
I see anything.
No, thank you. I want to put that to you, Abdullah, actually, again, because you've got a great set of knowledge of Pakistan, and you said that you've got confirmation of a response, and given Pakistan's should we say pretty close relationship with China, what do you think the calculus is going to be there from Karachi as well, because that's obviously quite a big consideration.
I need to ask this question I'm very interested in what was exactly targeted in Pakistan, because I'm again, I can't confirm this, but I'm wondering if any, Archie, maybe if somebody knows, is it true that it was a mosque or something like that?
No,
I can tell you what it is. So Bahawalpur has the Air Force base, and in Muzaffarabad they attacked a power grid. So the main question is, like I get it. India has been attacked by the Khalistans when the Indira Gandhi was killed. India was attacked by the Tamil when the Rajiv Gandhi was killed. They I know, like, there are things going on in their land with the Khalistan or the Tamils or the Kashmiris, but war is not an answer. Like, I know which.
Okay, I have the information. You're right, Doctor. If I'm sorry, just for clarification, the areas where they're saying is training camps, and then as you highlighted is power plants. We got that confirmation from Mario's team, which is a very interesting dynamic of targeting power plants in those regions.
Can I get the floor for a little bit?
If you ask me, I just got that from the another message, that is the Pakistan strongly retaliates, targets Indian military installations precisely, ensures no collateral damage. This is just the message I received. So not clear so far what exactly and where, but this is the message. As far as in Bahawalpur it is concerned, there was a mosque that was hit and the surrounding area. And Kotli, it was what was the name of the mosque? I can tell you. The message is somewhere in my laptop. I will tell you where in Kotli it was. If you allow me, and Muzaffarabad, it was not clear what exactly was targeted. Because it was not great, because it was away from the main city a bit, and surrounding area of Muzaffarabad, you can say, not far away from Muzaffarabad, but not the proper city. So this is, I am sharing information because I am not here to debate Pakistani narrative or Indian narrative, because I joined the conversation as an independent researcher. But if somebody will push me about the narratives on Balochistan and all these things, then obviously I have to respond. But I will try to be specific on this. What is happening right now?
Here's the question.
I think
this is what it's Abdullah, because this is the thing. It's what India is claiming as terrorist camps, and then the question then it goes back to from the Pakistani side of the house, are saying it's a mosque. Now, again, we've seen the examples in Afghanistan how madrasas, the roles that they played in a lot of ways, even for terrorist camps. So that's the angle that has to be analyzed and viewed from. But again, this kind of goes back to then from the Pakistani point of view for retaliation. Do they leverage? So now, okay, if power plants were targeted by India against Pakistan, are those the targets that Pakistan is going to look at to target power infrastructure within India for tit for tat?
I think what they said is that the Pakistan hit the military target. So I don't think that Pakistan so far has any intention to target any civilian target so far. Let's see, because it is the unfolding story. The retaliation, as Pakistan had said, that will not just match the Indian action, but it will exceed. So let's see whether it will exceed or whether it will be limited, because the Indian side said that our operation is over. The Pakistan has just started its operation. So we are just discussing the development.
I can tell you one thing.
Right?
The Pakistan
the
army
biggest thing about this issue is that when India retaliates, right, they're not aiming for military installations, but they understand very well that Pakistan will attack their military installations because they're not. Again, I said this before. They're playing.
So if I may actually, because we talked about, I have a specific area in the LOC. Again, this is from the Indian Army's Twitter page. They're saying by firing artillery. Apologies if I butcher this.
Go for
Bimber Gali in the Punch Rajaury area. That's the specific area that India is claiming Pakistan is launching artillery strikes right now.
Punch Rajaury, yes.
So just breaking news, just a second, thank you. We have a declaration from the Pakistani army, as Abdullah said, confirming that they are actually going into an active response towards to the attacks that happened today. So there is an active response from the Pakistani military that's happening right now on Indian targets. The question is what Indian targets will be attacked. Thank you.
Well, may I say something now?
Look, the Pakistan army is desperate.
Military installations. India is going to retaliate by wiping out the Pakistani military because, again, Pakistan only has 7 days worth of ammunition and warmongering abilities. After those 7 days, Pakistan cannot keep up a war. Right?
Don't believe in.
No. I will not accept that. I will not accept that. Right now, for the moment, Mario.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm muting. Got to share the news. Indian Army has posted on X writing, quote, "Justice is served and Jai Hindi," meaning victory to India. So the question is this been the full extent of the response from India? But India is claiming Jai Hindi, this is the response for this latest round. So then the question is this it from the Indian perspective? Because based on the Twitter post, it does indicate that this was the retaliation. But before we all go...
For India just wants a little gimmick and that's it, because they want to talk to the media that, we did something. But the Pakistanis are not. Remember, this Pakistan army wants a full-fledged war because they don't have a stable government. And they have nothing to lose. They don't have any foreign investments. They don't have $2 billion IPL. If the full-fledged war goes, guess what? All the foreigners from India will leave. The IPL will stop. They will lose billions of dollars. So they started, which is wrong on them, because this was not an answer. You're a bigger country. You have fought China in the region. You have fought India in the region. You don't have good relations with Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan Tamils have killed Rajiv Gandhi. You're a big head of the state. You need to stabilize the region. You don't keep on attacking different countries.
Pakistan is an unstable rogue state. Okay, they want.
No. Pakistan is not a rogue state. Pakistan is not a rogue state. India is a rogue state for the moment. India.
Okay, guys, this kind of rhetoric's not helping anyone.
My last comment, if you allow me, please just allow me 1 minute. You know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I joined this just for the analysis, not for debate with Indian brothers.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I want to try and avoid as much of this rhetoric as possible. Look, I think that to your point, Sitrap, I kind of want to bring it back to the statement by the Indian government. I do think we've seen everything from them at this moment in time. I do think that they are waiting to see how Pakistan responds, and I do think that it needs to be said that there is a bit of a lopsided balance here in military capabilities, right? India is a lot more of a fleshed out military than Pakistan's. It's just a fact. But whether or not that means that they're going to go toe to toe over this, I think remains to be seen. I think it's more about targeting specific sites, and now in Pakistan's calculus, how far do they want to push this? India has done what it considers to be proportionate. I'm not taking sides here. I'm just trying to, play out the thought process of India's side, right? They've cut off the Indus Treaty water supply. They've done these strikes now. They are being very sort of communicative in that they're making it very clearly stated what they did, why they did it, how they did it, where they did it, etc. And now the ball is in Pakistan's court. Now, there is one piece of analysis. Last point before I pass to whoever wants to.
Wait, Peter.
So
breaking news.
Okay, breaking news, and then I want to make one point.
This is from Paychex Network. I'm just going to read it verbatim. And thanks to Jess for sending this. Modi gave the military full authority to respond to Pakistan's retaliation days ago. They can decide to respond immediately without consulting him. So in other words, if Pakistan retaliates, Indian military has direct authority to respond as they deem fit without going through the president.
So to add to that, we had reports of artillery strikes starting from the Pakistani side into the Indian side, with the Indian side re-shooting to those locations and trying to target back the artillery positions. So we seem to have started to have active engagements on the border that is actively engaging in that fire, in that shooting.
See, India. Mr. Mario, can I say something?
Okay, I've got some more news here, guys. One second, please.
One news I got. One news I just got. If you allow me, one news I just got. It is.
Yes, please go ahead, Abdul.
It is that today at approximately 0040 hours, Pakistani air defense units successfully engaged and shot down an Indian Air Force Rafale fighter jets after it violated Pakistani airspace near the Bahawalpur region. So this is the news that Pakistan has shot down Rafale fighter jet in Bahawalpur.
There's a video of this as well, the plane coming down, and there's a big explosion.
We're getting confirmation here that a Pakistani official speaking on national media stated that retaliation is currently underway both on the ground and in the air. That's in response to what the Indian Army is saying was a calibrated
if I can expand on that, this is from Pakistani Army official tells Geo News that India targeted a mosque where civilians were present, calling the attack cowardly and shameful. Again, I'm not going to go into the validity of it, if it's true or not, madrasa, terrorist camp, etc. But it goes back to that initial framing of the conversation, which was if there's significant amount of casualties because of this attack, that to me in an escalation ladder is a higher significant and harder for Pakistan to ignore when they decide to retaliate, how they retaliate, and the forcefulness of the retaliation is because of if there's a possibility of significant amount of casualties.
India's not going to risk an all-out war unless they're 100% confident they're going to win. Okay, and I also understand that the F-16s that Pakistan have, half of them don't work. Okay, they only have a range of 100 kilometers, and that too, their radar systems are broken and not serviced properly. So that's why they moved their F-16s to the back of the country, and they moved their Chinese jets in the front for that reason, right? They're willing to sacrifice those Chinese jets, and on top of that, Pakistan's priority is in defending Lahore and Punjab. They don't care about Sindh, and they don't care about Rawalpindi and all these other areas because they have a fail-safe program that's allowing these other parts of Pakistan to fall in case they lose this war, only to protect Punjab. That should tell you about where the Pakistani position is in terms of this war. They know they're not going to win, and that's why they're running to the international community. They've been lobbying so much on K Street here in Washington, D.C., trying to get the Americans on their side, but Donald Trump himself said that he supports India in the case of an escalation of war. Same with Russia, same with France, right? The only validity in terms of the opposition that you guys brought up that I do agree with is the thing about Bangladesh and China, right? Because Bangladesh does want to get involved, and they do want Chinese military support, but I can almost guarantee if China gets involved, the United States of America will 100% get involved in this war as well.
Guys, I got breaking news. It's
Mr. Mario, you're not letting me speak.
Let Jess go. Jess, go ahead. Jess, go.
Breaking news. telegram. I've been scanning. Pakistan Army has opened heavy artillery fire in the Jammu sectors of Poonch Raj. I can't. I'm sorry. My pronunciation will be off. Poonch Rajai. Yes, and Mindar and Bimbar Gali. Indian guns respond in equal measure. The escalation has begun. Okay, this is not great.
This is great. This is great. Let me tell you why, guys.
One thing is that in Pakistani military, the largest chunk of people are personal after Punjabis is the Pashtuns. So this is a fact. So I should make it clear that there is no such kind of thing that Pashtuns are not with the army or something.
Afghanistan. The Pashtuns want to be a part of Afghanistan.
No, not at all, my dear, not at all. This is bullshit you read on social media. I told you that the Pakistan has largest chunk of personnel after Punjabis. These are the Pashtuns, and they had the rank of 4-star. They led the army. The Pashtuns they remained 4-star. They remained chairman, joint chief of staff of Pakistani army, and currently there are so many Pashtun generals are there in Pakistani army.
Afghanistan don't get along, even though they're both Islamic countries, because I can guarantee you it's because the Pashtuns don't want to be a part of Pakistan. They want to join Afghanistan. I can promise.
This has nothing to do with the fact. This is your maybe wish, or maybe you are misled.
There's videos of Pashtuni people saying that they've been oppressed by the Pakistani government. They've been saying that they've been hurt because they do not like the way the Pakistani.
Wait. Let's not go down this. Let's not go down this. Let's focus on the immediate news right now.
We're talking about India, Pakistan, not Pakistan.
Okay, so if I may, based on what Jess said in the
if you will allow this.
Okay, no, let me go.
If you will continue to allow this chat
can I make the update, please?
To spread false thing, then I will have to respond. If you stick to what is happening today, then that is the productive.
Piotr, go ahead.
Thank you. We have an update that Pakistan has confirmed it's retaliating to India's strikes via the ground and in the air. That's coming from AP. It's also been reconfirmed in Samar TV. And that Pakistan is now saying that 2 civilians have been killed and 12 wounded in the Indian strikes. It tells Geo News. So this is coming from the Pakistani military. So we're getting quite a lot of news.
So before everybody jumps in, what I think is very significant of this is that generally in the LOC, when we see clashes, they're generally localized to specific sectors, specific areas. That's generally the norm. Based on all the reporting we're getting, both from Indian media and Pakistani media, these are widespread in multiple areas, in multiple sectors. And then the question now becomes, as earlier stated, when President Modi gave the authorization to the Indian military to respond as needed, I'm very certain that the Pakistani military is operating in that area. So those commanders along the LOC basically have probably a lot more broad authorities than they had originally. And that's why we're seeing the significant amount of rise in cross-shelling and strikes. The question now becomes, does this kind of stay within the artillery realm and it stays within that, or do we start actually seeing troop movements crossing the borders, etc., because the artillery is too severe, and now military commanders on the ground are saying, well, I need to eliminate this threat, so I need to commit my forces into this area. That is the unknown. That is something I would be very much looking into as a way to seeing how this might continue to escalate. And that, by the way, is not even considering the Pakistani retaliation, because whatever happens in the LOC, I do not consider as a retaliation for Pakistan. I just think that's just a natural response to what's going on. So look at the Kashmir, the LOC, military commanders on the ground making decisions on their own and how they're going to respond and retaliate, and the decisions they make to get the initiative and seize the initiative, and then how Pakistan responds to this, because based on India's press reporting and what we're getting, this is the retaliation. We're not going to see anything more significant than what we saw right now, based on what we saw right now, and they're probably going to wait until Pakistan's retaliation. So I want to go to, I know Revolution, you've been trying to jump in, so let me go to you, and then we'll go to the rest of the speakers. Go ahead, Revolutionist.
Thank you so much. I highly appreciate it. What I was trying to say is this Indian and Pakistani conflict is not yesterday's. It's been made in 1948. So it will be fought again and again, one after another. This Indian strike, what they did was just right now, they say, we stopped. We're not retaliating anymore. Jai Hind, it's over, right? And Pakistan is now started retaliating. That being said, the whole thing is very much calculated, because right now they know, the whole world knows it. India has no good relationship with any of its neighbors, start from Sri Lanka to Maldives, to Nepal, to Bangladesh, everywhere. We know that very well. India has no good relation.
This is Pakistani propaganda right now. What do you mean?
No. I can listen.
India's economy.
Listen, there's a plenty of information, guys. We from South Asia, we know it. Okay, you guys are from here, we know. I'm a Bengali.
Okay, wait. Sorry, gotta jump in. This is unconfirmed. Unconfirmed. But what the Pakistanis are claiming is that they already conducted the retaliation. So the question, what we're going to be looking at specifically is the retaliation being localized in the LOC along the Kashmir area of India and Pakistan, or are there reports of explosions in other parts of India as part of that retaliation? Because if Pakistan decides to retaliate within the LOC, and if you're looking at the escalation ladder, that to me is at the lower end, where India maybe that doesn't have a necessity to respond, artillery fire back and forth, and then this ends it. Or did Pakistan conduct strikes deeper into India? That's what we're looking for. If this is confirmed, because Pakistani media is claiming that Pakistan has retaliated, the question is where? That is a fundamental question to our listeners to see if this goes up the escalation ladder or down. LOC, think that is good, further, bad. I don't know who's going. Go ahead.
India wants Pakistan to respond so that India has the moral authority to then go and complete the mission in Pakistan. Whoever said earlier that this war is happening since 1947, I completely disagree with you. In the eyes of the Indian government, this is a 1,500-year war that they've been fighting because of religious differences and religious intolerance by the Pakistanis. If you see what happened in the...
No, you're false. Listen. This is BS, man. This is what you're saying is BS.
I think you guys are making a Republic.
No, you guys don't know.
So why are you wasting our time?
Guy from the east, he'll tell you more.
Make it a structured discussion. Why you are allowing this Indian to, spew venom and, to spread false things? Please make it a
You guys are being very biased.
Okay, if we're going to start doing screaming matches here, I'll just kick you guys out. So either maintain the quorum or we're not doing this.
It is not the way, the one guy you are allowing, the Indian guy is talking nonsense and non-stop. You should allow one person to talk and then ask the other person to respond. That is the structure way to follow. Please, the host, make it not just like the Indians talk shows.
Okay, so Abdullah, go ahead, say your point, and then we'll go to somebody else. Because after you, Abdullah, I want to get in Sonu. So Abdullah, say your point, and then I want to go to Sonu.
That was my point. I made my point that please make it a structured discussion rather than, one person snatching the mic and saying something out of the context.
Sonu, go ahead.
Thanks, Citrip. I think I would request all the Pakistani friends here to please maintain restraint in their interventions. So I think what we have heard from Pakistan is literally a disobeyation of what is happening right now. With the Operation Sindoor, this operation has been named Operation Sindoor. What it actually means is India's intent to defend the sanctity of its civilian and national integrity, because we know on April 22nd, when the civilians were targeted, in Indian lexicons or terminology, the word itself means that this is the beginning of a war cry, what is happening, unraveling in Pakistan at this moment. The word itself, the word Sindoor, which means this particular thing. Second, unlike Pakistan, India has specifically mentioned these are 9 targets within Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir where the terrorist sites have been hit. Now, in the last couple of days, India have been able to delineate, defang, what are the terrorist operations, what were the terrorist sites that was responsible for recruiting these terrorists to come in India. Specifically, these terrorist sites have been targeted. Secondly, these are non-military targets, which is interesting. These are non-military targets where India has specifically called out their links to the Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. These are sites which are responsible for harboring and recruiting terrorists. Many of them have actually gone on to wage war in the West and other parts of the world. Lastly, this retaliation is primarily for the 26 people, 125 people of Indian background and one from the Nepali citizen who was targeted by these terrorists in that attack. Now, what you would ask me, that what is the broader ramification of this attack? Citrip, this is basically a clarion call for the Baloch army to now hit back strongly against the Pakistani army. The Baloch has been suffering under the Pakistani aggression for the last several years.
Sorry, I have to jump in. Just give me a second. And again, I apologize if I butcher this. I'm just going to read it. It's from Jess. She sent this. So this is what the Pakistani military is. These are some of the claims that are going through. And try to cross-reference everything. So Pakistan attacked in response to 8 areas successfully, destroying military installations. The areas: Kupwara, Baramulla, Bandipora, Poonch, Rajouri, Kargil, Leh or Dras, Akhnur. Those are the 8 areas that Pakistan is claiming that they've attacked in retaliation for Indian operations.
I would also add to that, Sitrep, that you've now got a war of narratives emerging from both ministries of defense, in that Pakistan is claiming that all of the locations struck by the Indian Air Force were civilian targets, not militant sites, as the Indian Defense Ministry has suggested. So it's going to be Pakistan's word against India's.
Piotr, I've got some news. I'm sorry to break in here. This unconfirmed, I guess, because this would be pretty serious. But according to, I think, a Pakistani channel on Telegram, the Indian airbase in Srinagar has been hit by Pakistani missiles.
So it's important to highlight. It's important to highlight one of the capabilities aspect of both India and Pakistan. They both have very robust ballistic missile programs. So they do not need their air force to go deep into enemy territory to conduct strikes. They have ballistic missiles, cruise missiles. India specifically has been leveraging cruise missile development significantly. So a lot of these strikes could also be utilizing these systems outside of jets. So eyewitnesses might just see an explosion without hearing a foreign jet. Those are a lot of capabilities that both countries have developed extensively, and they could use in these strikes.
So Trump, we got a confirmation that Srinagar Airport was actually a target from someone in the Pakistani military, and if we have confirmation of an actual hit on the location, this would be quite an important target to hit at the moment. Thanks for the team in the back end. So Srinagar, airport was hit by Pakistan. That's what we're getting as reports.
But Sitrip, I think the war of the narrative is from the Pakistanis, because what they're trying to do is that border skirmishes is now being projected as a retaliatory exercise. It's not, because India has specifically targeted the terror sites in Pakistan, which is very clear. What it actually projects is that India is restrained. It's exercise very focused and restrained action in this. It doesn't want it to be escalate, but when Pakistan retaliates, there'll be more escalation. But this projection is also a message to the Balochistan Liberation Front to take on the Pakistani establishment, because there have been an ongoing conflict in Balochistan, and on the other side with the Pashtuns as well, because the United Front of Afghanistan has now waged a war against Pakistan on that side. So you have got multiple fronts open for Pakistan. And if you remember the last space, I mentioned that the unraveling of the balkanization of Pakistan has begun, and this is the day when you call it.
The Indian military
but that's not really the point, is it, Sudhanu? I think we need to, again, going off onto tangents like that is not necessarily the best.
Piotr, real quick.
It is a war of narratives, I'm afraid, because Pakistan's going to claim one thing and India is going to state another. And I'm not saying whether one is right or wrong, but unfortunately,
may I have the mic for a minute, please?
It is a war of narratives. Go ahead, Jess, sorry.
May I have a mic for 1 minute, please?
Abdul, yes, go for it.
India claims that it hit the terrorist targets in Pakistan, whether in Bahawalpur or elsewhere. So again, the same question which Pakistan raised from the day first, that there should be an independent inquiry. So if India had targeted civil militant targets, then it should be confirmed. As India said that it did not hit the military targets. So that means either they were the terrorists or they were the civilian targets. So what if it confirmed from the independent investigation that it, as so far the Pakistani accounts say that these are the mosques they were hit. So if that is the true, then it means that India committed war crimes. And then the Pakistan so far said that the Pakistan hit all the military targets. So I think in this case, this particular night, Pakistan is behaving like a responsible country, which is hitting the military targets, not the civilians. while the India has targeted the civilian targets.
How is a
So
country
this
that
is my
sponsors
point.
terrorism being a responsible country? I don't understand. If they're state sponsoring terrorism and they're telling you to bleed India with 1,000 cuts by having plausible deniability, by having militants, quote unquote militants, go out and kill innocent Hindus, and now they're being retaliated against, how is that a responsible actor? Please let me know, because I don't seem to understand the discrepancy at all. You try to frame it as if Pakistan is innocent. Pakistan is by no means innocent. And in fact, if you look at what happened in the UN Security Council meeting, Pakistan tried to lobby every single country around to then come out and support it against India, and not a single country came out and supported Pakistan. Let me remind you that. Even though
if you will allow me to respond.
And I think
Please
I
go
should also respond about him, because he's continuously talking about the all bullshit. I'm sorry to say, I don't want to use these type of words, but I really apologize. I really apologize, Mario. And this is the one more thing which I want to request it here. Please try to not rumors the things which is not correct and which is not the right news. Unless any news which is not showing in 2-3 channels and should be verified, then should be there. It's not the platform to just spread the news which is not correct. And also one more thing, this platform is not for the Indian to protect them, and it should be very clear that Indian has the first attack on the Pakistan, and these all what we are doing is self-defensing and nothing else. And still they are not understanding these all things, and they are unable to give the evidence, they are unable to give the proof for all terrorism attacks or anything. So far we are not able to get anything from them.
Hold on. In Pahalgam,
most of you in the states are very anti-Pakistani.
They have Pakistani army.
Nobody liberal here.
Attackers in Pahalgam were from the government of Pakistan. Okay, so if 2 of them are from they're ex-military from Pakistan, how are you going to tell me that they're independent actors? Okay, if they used to work for the Pakistani army, they are not independent actors. They are funded and supported by Pakistan. Pakistan has been funding and supporting terrorism. In fact, the government of Pakistan came out and they literally admitted to supporting terrorism, and they said that, oh, we were doing terrorism on behalf of the West, on behalf of America, right? And then America came out and said, don't you dare try to drag us into it, because if you're committing terrorism, it's because you wanted to, right? So I hate this disinformation campaign they try, right? Where they're trying to say, oh, okay, like Pakistan did not have anything to do with the Pahalgam attacks. You guys literally funded and supported the terrorists. Terrorists cannot move without money. If the government of Pakistan is giving these terrorists money to then go and conduct attacks, then Pakistan is guilty as charged.
I think
no, if you allow me,
wait. Hold on.
Mr.
Okay,
Archie,
let me do this. Abdullah, wait.
Mr. Archie, you are such a big liar, man.
Okay, so wait. Before we'll go a little bit further. I do.
I've got some more breaking news, Sitrep. So
go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so just saying here, we've got the Indian Army says Pakistan has fired artillery into Bimba Gali in Punjab. Rajuri, I know I'm saying that wrong, guys. Sorry. In India-administered Kashmir, India's armed forces are responding appropriately in a calibrated manner, the army has said. I mean, that came about 5 minutes ago. So Pakistan is apparently launching its own limited strikes into Kashmir, into India-controlled Kashmir. So this is largely occurring in Kashmir. But you know, what I would ask is, if anyone is in Kashmir or has Kashmir heritage connections, then please do send me or any of the team a DM, because we'd love to hear from you or get your perspective. All right?
Can I give you some more breaking news from the region?
Yeah, go ahead quickly.
Thanks, Piotr. So I've just got some more confirmation from collaterals who are in the region that out of the 9 terror hubs that were targeted, these are from Kotli, Muzaffarabad, and Bhavalpur, and basically they targeted Jaish-e-Mohammed's Maulana Masood Azhar installation. These were the terror camps which Maulana Masood Azhar, he's the one who masterminded the Pahalgam attack. None of these installations have been earmarked and targeted, and most importantly, India's response used the Rafales S-400, and you would notice that this is going to be more escalated to the Pakistan response. All the confirmation for Pakistan is on the border skirmishes. They haven't responded. All of these, the statements that you're hearing are on the border front. It's not deep within India. Thanks.
No worries. Thank you. Sitrep, did you want to go?
Abdul,
did you have any breaking news? Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Abdul, go ahead.
The first and foremost thing that throughout these 2 weeks, India, neither Indian media nor Indian official ever mentioned Jaish-e-Mohammed behind this attack. They all said that this is TRF, which had claimed responsibility, and they said that TRF is a front of Lashkar-e-Taiba. So all these attacks on Jaish-e-Mohammed is not understandable. They say that this is Jaish-e-Mohammed, but as per Pakistani sources, they said that these were the civilian targets. So I think this is a war of narrative from both sides. There should be independent investigation from the Pahalgam attack, how the Pahalgam attack happened, which brought both the countries to brink of a war, and that is the basic demand by Pakistan and basic demand by Turkey, China, and all the same voices that there should be independent investigation about what happened in the Pahalgam. You went to war without investigation. That is injustice to the humanity and to the people of the South Asia. This is my point.
Thank you for that. I
I'm
do want to
totally
just remind
agree.
everyone that for people who are not part of the countries involved, Kashmir is a disputed landmass that borders Pakistan and India or overlaps both territories. It's also partially claimed a little bit by China, and it's one of the most hotly contested border disputes in the world. Both countries that are involved in the clashes right now are nuclear capable. So is China. Although China's a bit of an enigma at the moment. We don't really know what Beijing is going to be thinking about this. I think largely keeping out of it for the time being. Maybe trying to get calm to be restored. But this is a highly, highly contentious area. And if you're not familiar with the history, then it all largely comes down to the rudimentary territories and lines that were created largely by the former British colonies. And when what was known as West Pakistan, East Pakistan, and India were separated in the 1940s. So the tensions that you see today are a reflection of the years, decades standing of the what was left behind by the Brits, as you can say, argue in the Middle East and also in Africa. So if you're new to this sort of situation, there's a little bit of context. But Sitrep, I just wanted to check if you've got any more news about what's coming out on the ground.
No, nothing yet. But what I did wanted to say is that one of the aspect is we're getting a lot. So now the question is, okay, so if these retaliations against Pakistan, which looks like it's very much confirmed, now that goes back to the question, same issue, right? Casualties, and now the concern I have, I'm going to go back to this earlier point a little bit, reset, because I know we went in a lot of forth and maybe people haven't listened, is it does look like that now military commanders are making decisions on the ground. So the military commanders on the ground are going to look up, how do I take the initiative? When you have political leadership in charge, the job of the political leadership is to really try to make sure that you meet your political objective and to tone down the military commanders. By delegating authorities to military commanders, their priority is the safety and their objectives, the safety of their troops and their objectives. So now we're in a situation where, is this going to continue? And now how does that look like in the LOC? My biggest concern now going into is, do we actually, besides artillery strikes, do we start seeing cross-border operations either by Pakistan or India along the LOC? And then the closest example we have of that is the 1999 Cargill War.
Well, Sitrep, on that point, though, the Pakistan has kind of alluded to the point that they might be conducting military operations on the ground, right? So wouldn't that involve something like that?
Well, I think artillery, there's a fundamental, and let me go to John Laurier here, because we literally had this conversation recently. John, to you specifically, we uploaded the podcast recently about this specifically. What is the biggest concern from your end from a military escalation ladder? Because now we've seen the response, and not quantity-wise, not significant per se. It's more the areas and the places that were targeted were much more deep than probably a lot of us anticipated, and a lot of these were in civilian areas, or at least civilian populated areas, and not just remote mountain regions, right? So where do you see in the escalation ladder where this might go up or where this might go down? Go ahead, John.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think first, the nature of Pakistan's response, once that can be fully quantified and qualified, I think is going to be huge. I think, well, we're seeing very quick responses, right? This isn't necessarily kind of like Iran and Pakistan escalation, where we had whole days between their responses and their tit-for-tat strikes before each other. This is immediate reaction. Now, this is generally characteristic of Indo-Pakistani exchanges we've seen in the past. Now, we've seen tit-for-tat kind of sustained artillery campaigns, cross-border, cross-LOC artillery campaigns between the two before, right? I defer some other people to go into the depth of those incidents. But we've seen that before, sometimes for weeks up to more than a couple months at times, right? You see these hostilities go on. I'm not sure if this is that right now, right? I think we're still in the early stages.
We've got John, if I may interject, we've got a response from His Majesty POTUS.
Yeah,
Trump, quote, "We just heard about it as we were walking through the doors of the Oval. They've been fighting for a long time. I just hope it ends very quickly." Right. So that's basically the White House, or at least Trump, has largely no idea. And I think the US is going to be or the military intelligence services are going to be briefing him of this, and then we might get more of a comprehensive reaction from him later on. I don't think the US is going to get involved yet. I simply don't think
I get Peter to that. I think who I would be looking at, and we talked about this with John in the podcast I know we had, is one of the issues is, I think it's important to highlight that the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is now the interim national security advisor. He has multiple hats. So the question is, we knew Marco Rubio started to take a lead in having conversations both with the Pakistani and Indian foreign ministers to kind of lead that role. The question now becomes, is this a situation where the Secretary of State tries to get in, or do we see a situation of special envoy? And the person I would be looking at is a special envoy of everything, Witkoff. Just President Trump then delegated to Witkoff instead, and I think that kind of determines which way. That is the focus right now in the de-escalation, because to be honest, if China hasn't said anything, China's not going to say anything. And it goes back to the United States to try to do this mediation role between India and Pakistan. I don't see China having any desire to get themselves into this mess.
But if I could just piggyback off of what you just said, right? China doesn't have the desire to do so, more so because they don't have the ability to do so. They can't exercise a type of influence and pulling power, for lack of a better term, over both India and Pakistan that the United States can. So I do think the United States is currently in the best position to mediate any type of ceasefire and or these, whatever you want to call, de-escalation between both nations right now. And that's kind of why China is reticent to do so. Now, I think we did also mention on the podcast, right, that if China assesses that the U.S. is continuing to drop the ball on mediation efforts, should we begin to try and conduct mediation efforts? Historically, China has always been very good at getting in between where the U.S. is dropping the ball, whether that's Africa, whether that's South America, or wherever else in the Indo-Pacific as well. Just to quickly finish my point earlier, right? We've seen sustained artillery strikes between the two so far. I think that's what we're seeing, and as I understand it, it's local to the either an Indian or Pakistani administered Kashmir regions alongside the line of control. Right now, I think your original question was kind of like where's the worst thing that this can go to, and one thing you had mentioned as well on the podcast was there is a possibility of this you have this independence of command at lower chain of command levels, right? And so, who really has their buttons on, some of these nuclear assets and, the Indian and Pakistani deterrence. There's always a threat there of nuclear escalation. I don't think we're at that point yet, though. I do still believe that they still have a better handle on that. And as I mentioned before a couple of days ago, keeping that in mind, I think both Indian and Pakistani decision makers will have kind of put a tighter grip on some of those on the deterrent in the past couple of days and weeks. Thank you.
One thing I want to make clear that Pakistan is just not using artillery, but Pakistan Air Force is also actively involved in this response. And the bombing at Srinagar airport, and just I came to know that Pakistan has also bombed the Pathankot. So all these attacks are being conducted by Pakistan Air Force, while the artillery exchange from both sides is going on along the LOC, but the attacks in Bandipora, Kupwara, Leh and other places, they were conducted by Pakistan Air Force. Just I wanted to make this clarification.
Yeah, and just quickly, you mentioned you were talking about a fundamental difference, and I believe what you were going to say to finish your sentence, you were about to say there's a fundamental, talking about ground operations, that is, there's a fundamental difference between cross-border artillery strikes and actual troop maneuver movements across borders and lines of control.
Sorry, just to confirm, there's no evidence to support any bases inside India have been attacked.
Exactly. Piotr, I just want to also confirm there is no corroboration from local inputs that the Pakistan has been able to penetrate deeper into India. These are just border skirmishes that the way Pakistan is retaliating. I've got some more news that the reason that the 9 were targeted is because the Pakistani military officer was seconded by the Pakistani intelligence agency to pursue this particular attack that happened on April 22nd in India. And this particular officer acted as a liaison between the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the terrorist organization, and the Jaish-e-Mohammed. That's why this particular gentleman, his 9 terror installations have been targeted because he masterminded in cohorts with the Pakistani intelligence agency and the Pakistani army. Now, this has been a long doctrine of Pakistan to use deniable terror assets to wage war, asymmetric warfare, because they don't have the capability to wage symmetric
What
warfare.
Can we say
India.
about this speculation, my dear? These are all the speculation. You don't have any evidence. Why don't you produce evidence to the world, to see the people?
How about your chief general army staff going on national TV and admitting it?
He never admitted it.
He made it to Sky News.
No, not at all.
Mr. Khan,
Not at all.
Mr. Khan, you should look at the recent statements made by your own ministers on public televisions, on national, international television, admitting to the complicity.
That was about Pakistan played a role in war against Russia, the Mujahideen war, and our defense minister was talking about that. He said that we did the dirty work for the United States. So you are taking one part of his statement and not the other, and that is the American war. So we fought with America the war against the Russia, and then we fought for 20 years the war on terror alongside America. So what that he mean the dirty work was about that. So all that we played a role in international war on terror. It was not just.
So we've got some more news, guys. Here, the Pakistanis are now claiming that 2 adults and 1 child have been killed by the strikes. The military is stating that the 3 civilians, including a child in Ahmedabad East and 2 adults in Kotli, have been killed, as well. 12 others have been injured. That's coming from CNN and GOTV. I'm not too familiar with GOTV, but so we're getting a greater, I think, picture of the scale of sort of damage, collateral damage, humanitarian fallout from this. Now, but there's still a lot of information. I would also just say that Trump's initial reaction is pretty muted. I think we'll get more of a comprehensive statement from the White House over time. And also, last point, please be careful of the information that you either consume or share. There's a lot of AI generated bullshit and also just repurposed. Like there was a strike I saw claiming that there was something of India on Pakistan, but it was actually a piece of footage from Gaza in 2023. So be very careful of the information that you share on X, because people are capitalizing on this sickeningly to build engagement and follows. So bit of a CTR there. But Abdul, do you want to come back in?
I think that what seems to be right now that the Pakistan's response is mostly limited to the occupied Kashmir, but one strike the Pakistan claim is in Leh. So although Pakistan considers it as part of Kashmir, but India recently has declared it separate from Kashmir and as a union territory. So technically that is, from Indian perspective, that is an attack on Indian homeland as well. So let's see how India responds.
Abdul, let me read another statement, and then I want to ask your opinion on it, and more broadly, just the Pakistani thought process here, right? But just reading this comes from the Guardian, the newspaper. Pakistan has said it shot down 2 Indian jets in retaliation for the strikes on the Pakistani-controlled territory. A statement from Pakistan's state broadcaster PTV says its forces are responding, quote unquote, forcefully to India's quote unquote aggression. All Pakistani Air Force aircraft are safe, it says, citing security sources, adding Pakistan armed forces are giving a befitting reply to the enemy's, aggression. So there's a little bit of information. So Abdul, with that, bit more information and what you've been hearing from your colleagues, how far will Pakistan potentially take this? Are they just going to continue to do incremental sort of strikes or actions, or are they going to be quite decisive in a specific blow? How far is I want to understand your perspective.
My understanding is that the Pakistan, what Pakistan wanted to do is Pakistan hit the 8 targets what it wanted to do, and other than that, it will remain limited to the line of control. It may not escalate on the international border so far, but we have to see over the night what happens if India again responds to Pakistani strikes and the tit for tat. So far I see that the both have done what they wanted to do, and that maybe resorted back to the line of control. This is my assessment at this moment.
Are you suggesting that we've seen the kinetic action now? Are we going to go more towards diplomacy and use of hot words, or is India going to strike back because Pakistan's done what it said it was going to do? Do you think both sides are going to pull back from the brink and claim victory in their respective ways, as we've seen in the past?
It seems so. It seems so for the moment. If India tonight does not carry out any strike against Pakistan, that means that both will claim victory. Pakistan will claim victory, and India will also claim victory, and then there will be diplomatic, fighting with each other. So this is my assessment. But it all depends what India will do tonight.
But they've done. Do you think they could do something else? Let me just read you one piece of analysis, actually. So there's a gentleman here. He said, this was about an hour ago, so obviously Pakistan has since carried out its actions, but he posted stating that Pakistan, the ball is in their court. We'll see how Pakistan responds. I expect it to be a calculated response, followed by de-escalation and both sides claiming victory. So Pakistan's going to show restraint, quote unquote, and then India's not going to respond. And then that way they can say that they were the more responsible power by not responding to Pakistan's response. And then both sides can claim victory and it befits their narrative, right? Or is that too simple of an interpretation? Because I think that kind of makes sense based on the historical examples.
We can expect anything from both the sides. So far, the situation is very tense. The atmosphere in India is also tense, and while in Pakistan is the same. What we assume from Indian activities is that India wants to push Pakistan because of the situation in Balochistan, specifically in some parts of KP. So India find an adequate time that to push Pakistan from, as the Indian friend has said, that the three front. So if that is the case, if India has that kind of intentions, then we should expect more actions by India and dragging Pakistan into a full-fledged confrontation. So that again, I would say that we have to see what happens. But the situation may not be as it happened in 2019. I think it may see further escalations depending on the Indian action and intentions.
We've got a piece of news directly from the Prime Minister of Pakistan. I'm not reading the literal translation because I can read exactly what is written. It is translated from Urdu by Google, so there may be some mistakes, so if someone wants to correct me, but based on this translation, it says the cunning enemy has carried out cowardly attacks on 5 locations in Pakistan. Pakistan has every right to respond forcefully to this act of war imposed by India, and a forceful response is being given. The entire nation stands with the Pakistani armed forces, and the moral and spirit of the entire Pakistani nation are high. The Pakistani nation and the Pakistani armed forces know how to deal with the enemy. We will never allow the enemy to succeed in their nefarious goals. So that comes from the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif.
He has also called the meeting of the National Security Committee tomorrow in the morning at 10 a.m. There will be National Security Committee meeting by the Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Okay, thank you for that.
That'll be too late. Piotr, I've got some more information coming in right now. That the reason that India has targeted the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and deeper into the Pakistan is that subsequent to the April 22nd attack by the Pakistani terror agency, what actually happened is that the Pakistani intelligence agency moved some of these terror camps from the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir into deeper into the territory in the Kotli and Muzaffarabad. That's the reason that the entire shared infrastructure, which was actually supervised by the retired and active army officers, were targeted. Secondly, India has much more deeper intelligence now through the surveillance footage and intercepted communication, which is now confirmed Pakistani's eyesight direct oversight of these camp activities. So by India, by targeting these activities, wants to send a very clear message that the entire infrastructure of the Pakistan's hybrid warfare strategy would not be sustainable anymore. India can hit deeper into their target, and this is what India has done. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for the Indian perspective there.
Quickly add
one more thing, if you allow me, that Pakistan has a serving officer Kulbhushan Jadhav in our custody of Indian involvement in terrorism, undeniable proof.
Okay, thank you, Abdul. Ravi, I know you want to come in, and then we'll go to you.
So Ravi, before you just jump in, again, just quickly for everybody, and Ravi, I'll go straight to you. It's just we're continuing to get a lot. It looks like the LOC is the center of the conflict right now, and it's continuing. Right now, besides that, we haven't really heard much, but we continuously get reports of significant artillery strikes in Kashmir along the LOC. Again, although it's more expansive, it's still kind of within the historical norm when tensions kind of escalated, specifically what just happened. I'm looking for actual troop movement crossing. We still have not seen that. Ravi, go ahead. Sorry.
Just 2 quick points. One, the footage that's being circulated about these jets being down is actually from 2024. There was a crash inside India that's being circulated on Pakistani TV. So I'm not sure what disinformation is being fed to their own people, but I just wanted to clarify that. The other point that I really want to make is that you can't roll out the card that, oh, we were, supporting the Americans in terrorism when bin Laden was found in Abbottabad, which is the west point of Pakistan. You can't play both cards that, oh, we were fighting terror and, we only used the proxies on one side of our border. That just defies logic and common sense. If you're going to play this game, go play it somewhere else. Unfortunately for you, there are people in here that do know what they're talking about. So can we at least have some semblance of honesty in these conversations? Otherwise, it's just going to be a shouting match.
Sorry.
We're trying our best. I appreciate that.
There's a live feed. We're trying to confirm it, but I did get a kind of a thing from Poonch, India, Kashmir, and in that live feed, you do see explosion artillery fire in Poonch, India specifically, which is more of a city with a civilian population. So you are seeing activity in Poonch, India right now.
But Citrip, that again confirms that these skirmishes are on the border front. They are not deeper into Indian territory. These are mere border skirmishes. The Pakistani, some of the commentators have made that the deeper into Indian territory have been targets. That is absolutely false, not confirmed, not corroborated from this side or the other side.
Hey guys, if I can just chime in, there's some fake news that's being distributed that needs a fact check. So it's being circulated by the media of Pakistan that they attacked the Indian Air Force Base in Srinagar, which is the capital of Jammu and Kashmir. So to be very clear, this was debunked. There was no Indian Air Force jets that were on the tarmac that were striked. So I just want to put it out there because this is getting carried by our good friends in Vicegrad 24 and other respectable news organizations and channels. So Pakistan has yet to formally strike back. Just want to make sure that we're fact checking and we're not letting disinformation, misinformation spread.
I will say,
I thought India responded already.
I love you had that positivity. Sorry for jumping in. Sorry, don't mean this in any disrespectful manner, but anybody who covers India and Pakistan, misinformation, disinformation is rampant. It's going to happen. That's why when people said the reports.
I agree with you, and I think going back to the points I've made in previous spaces, which is none of us are there. So therefore, we need to take things with a pinch of salt. But there's no need to outright lie to uphold your side of the argument. We're grown-ups, and we should treat each other as such and give each other due respect of, trying to be honest in our conversations and debate. Just on the point of this headline, I don't think there's going to be a nuclear threat. I know it's.
We would have seen that by now. A nuclear exchanges. Well, not that we've seen it, but they follow a pretty. If you know the doctrine, right, of Russia and the US, you don't start communicating with official communiques diplomatically as you have done on Twitter. You don't get prime minister statements from Pakistan.
I thought you were going to make a flashbang joke.
Say again?
One point I want to make.
No jokes about nuclear war, not in here. I can make jokes, but not on that. But anyway, I did want to get to a couple of other hands that we've been waiting to hear from, I think. But Abdul, did you have a quick more breaking news?
I don't have a breaking news, but I just want to say that at this midnight, nobody confirmed any claim that whether it is right or wrong, whether Pakistan hit the Srinagar airport or not, or whether India hit terrorist camps or not. So all these are the claims from both sides. We have to wait and see till tomorrow what transpires in the morning. So we should not be too quick to just justify our point of view and deny the claim of the another. We are all sitting in our rooms. Nobody is in the field. That's my point. Thank you.
So there is a live feed, and then that's what I would, if people are interested, there are live feeds in there. Like I said, the one in Punch specifically, there was, there looked like explosion, even some gunfire is what it looked like. So there's things there. Abdul, go ahead.
I just want to tell, enlighten all our listeners about the Pakistani army. This is not the first time Pakistani army has done. I'm a Bengali. I suffered at the hand of Pakistani army in '72. They have killed 3 million people.
Abdul, sorry for, again, I mean, for those, I'll see how, I'll try to share it there, but from on YouTube, literally right now, I just heard an explosion on the live camera feed. So this is not in any way, shape, or form over anytime soon. The artillery fire is continuing at this time.
Yes. Yep. What I was saying is that Pakistani army has been doing this one. One of my friend was telling that Pakistan was doing the dirty work of American. American left. He forgot to tell you, America left Pakistan in 1990. After 1990, it was Pakistan. 1991, it was Pakistan who was nurturing this terrorist. Wall Street journalist. He got kidnapped in Pakistan and beheaded in Pakistan. Okay, the Mullah Umar was getting treatment in Pakistan army where the war against terrorism was going on. How can Pakistan deny actually 23 UN designated terrorists are there in Pakistan? As of today, terrorists are not like Microsoft or Google. They just change their names. Actually, this guy just, I don't know whom they want to fool. They're saying elite is not there. Elite changes their name to something else. See.
So sorry, I just want to jump in again. Take this with a grain of salt, everybody. But just as we reported when the Pakistani media claimed they shot down the Rafales, I do want to do the due diligence to do the same. India media is claiming. Let me get the exact. Source, where is it? Oh, it is, Mech Updates is saying that Indian air defense is reportedly down a Pakistani F-16 near the LOC. Again, no visible proof of that. And then another one from India, they said India has activated all air defense units along the Indo-Pakistan border to tackle any eventuality. That's the quote directly.
I also want to add to that from a source that I consider to be quite dependable, but this is quite a big deal, which is Pakistan media is claiming that the Pakistan forces have destroyed a brigade HQ of Indian forces. If anyone can clarify that, that is not something I can confirm.
This is again circulating under fake news from Pakistani AI-generated platforms. This has not been corroborated, and from our Indian sources, this has been rebutted. Thanks.
So, Peter, India is a big country. If you have seen, there is an attack in India, you will see hundreds of footage. People will take in their mobile phone and upload it. Okay, so these are all fake news. Okay, I was just talking about this Pakistani terrorist. In Mumbai attack happened. Before Mumbai, there was a Kargil attack. So initially, Pakistan claimed that this is the irregular freedom fighters did it, but Musharraf and then the army chief Musharraf and Nawaz Sharif, they fought, and each of them told the truth actually to the Pakistani regulars who did it. Then Mumbai attack happened. Pakistani told we don't know. These are Bangladeshis, Nepalis. Then Pakistani journalist and Pakistani prime minister went and traced each and every terrorist to their village. In fact, they jailed Hamid Mir, but from the jail, Hamid Mir fathered 2 children. He was not in jail. While in jail, he fathered 3 children, not 2, 3 children actually. So this is the state of affairs, right? How much India will take? See, everywhere you see in the world, starting from Moscow to London to Madrid to US to India to Afghanistan. They destroyed anything. There is a Pakistan fingerprint, actually. There is a Pakistan fingerprint. So you cannot tell good terrorist and bad terrorist.
Look, my brother, India has done 22 assassinations inside Pakistan, documented by Guardians, and during last 3 years, it was that Kulbhushan Yadav here, Sarbajit Singh was killed in Lahore jail. He was a raw agent. He did explosions in Pakistan. Before 1971, India actively funded and trained the Mukti Bani against East Pakistan at that time. So both the countries did whatever they could do against each other. So why you are pursuing one narrative while ignoring the other? It is nobody is
Okay, gentlemen, please, one at a time. I don't, again, really want to go down these long potential rabbit holes. So if you've got more recent news developments, although I am beginning to see that there's not as much coming through at the rapid pace it was, say, half an hour ago.
Well,
have you got stuff,
I am seeing from the Indian side, they are expanding. Here's some news. Again, treated as unconfirmed. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. Jesus, there's so much. So Pakistani Army News and ARI News and Geo News are reporting, again, take this unconfirmed, but Pakistani news outlets are reporting that Pakistan Army destroys Indian Brigade headquarters in retaliatory strike. Not saying how they did it, but that's what they're reporting, that they destroyed a brigade headquarters. Again, from Pakistani media, so treat that as unconfirmed. But there is still a lot of activity going on right now. India Air Defense has been activated along the LOC. India is claiming they shot down an F-16. So there are information. The thing is, it's unconfirmed. We know the misinformation, disinformation gets spread widely around the situations. I have the live feed up here for specific area, Pooch in India. You can hear sometimes the artillery fire going around. The activities, I think right now the key aspect is right now it looks like a lot of this is along the LOC. But the LOC is where the concentration of military power is. And that's where the concern is, where this can escalate very, very quickly if military commanders on the ground decide to take the initiative and meet military objectives. Because right now it's artillery. Do we see tanks crossing over? And that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, so it's claimed that the headquarters of JEM, which is a terrorist group supported by the Pakistani military establishment, it's been claimed that their headquarters was bombed by India. Still trying to get the details on that. There's a claim that a mosque in the region of Kashmir that's under Pakistan's control that was apparently supposedly used by terrorist actors, still being verified, that was attacked. So it's very interesting. Pakistani government is going to retaliate. That's what they said.
Utsap, that mosque in Bahawalpur was used as a LET headquarters.
Sorry, if I may, apologize. This came in like a minute ago from Samat TV. At least from Samat TV, so from Pakistani sources are claiming at least 20 casualties in Pakistan so far following India's attacks. I know there's a lot of casualties, but this is just the latest right now within the last 5 minutes. It actually broke, at local time 02:45 in the morning, saying 20 casualties. And that was another, I don't know if you guys heard that, but that was an explosion on the live I have right here. Again, this is Pooch, Kashmir, and there was just a loud explosion on the live feed.
Sitrap, I've got more news on that. So the 20 people that you're talking about, India has indicated that these are the targets, the militants that have been neutralized, that they were being trained at these ISI sponsored terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistani Kashmir. Now there are two important things that I just want to mention, and I'll close my speech. The Lashkar-e-Taiba, the two of the gentlemen, Hafiz Saeed and Zaki Lakhvi, and Maulana Masood Azhar, both of these, Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish
I'm sorry, give me 1 second from jumping. Again, I mean, if you, the activities, now we're seeing night flares being activated along the LOC. Again, this is from the live feed in Pooch, India. There are incendiary rounds, not incendiary guns, how do you call them? When the lighting rounds, like I'm drawing a blank right now, it's just too much. But we are seeing that, and because the camera, if I'm not mistaken, is pointed directly towards Pakistan, so you are seeing activity along the front lines, and that's kind of probably there's a concern of maybe cross border movements right now along the LOC.
Sitrap, I think what we really need to understand is that India, by this particular action, by going deeper into the Pakistan territory, is now able to send this message that if you're going to support and harbor terrorists within your country, then we'll go in and we'll take them out. Because Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed are long-term allies of Pakistani intelligence agency and establishment. And Maulana Masood Hazar has been protected, just like Osama bin Laden, has been protected by the state machinery as a terror tool against India. And this will not go on. India will target those terror camps, no matter which part of Pakistan they exist, and they'll be taken out. Thanks.
Emergency declared in Pakistan province of Punjab. Again, explosions are going crazy in Pooch, India right now in Kashmir. And then I'm trying to see more information, but I'll get it once it's a little bit confirmed. But key thing, emergency declared in Pakistan's province of Punjab.
Yeah, on this, I just want to do a little bit more on news. Again, there is no confirmation that jets have been shot down. That is a lot of information that's coming out, which is not accurate. We are seeing an update according to Pakistan's Samar TV, though, which is that 20 casualties in Pakistan so far following the strikes by India. There's a lot of disinformation. Again, reminder that one image that's being shared of a bright sort of explosion, apparently of India carrying out its missile attacks, is actually from Israel bombardments in Gaza in 2023. There is also no confirmation, lots of speculation about this Indian Brigade headquarters that has been struck. So we are seeing a lot of different things happening at once. But yeah, to Sitrep's point, there is this emergency declared in Punjab province, which has been corroborated against enough sources that it is true. So we've got a lot of things to keep on top of. And we also have a lot of hands. John, you've got some great always stuff to say. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, thanks. Just I think Sitrep, I think you'll kind of support me in this one. Flares may not always indicate movement, but it's more so an indicator that they're looking for movement. So if they have reason to believe that there's something moving across the front lines or across that line of contact, they're going to shoot. They're going to send up some flare to create that illumination so that they can get a better situation.
And there's a listener who corrected me, John G. Thank you. Illumination rounds. That's the word I was looking for. Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
I want to go to the hands as well. We've got, hang on. Spectator Index is saying reports of clashes between India and Pakistan along the line of control. That is not something else I've seen anywhere else, so take that with a pinch of salt.
No. The line of control, that's the live feed I have right now.
Is happening?
If the clashes is artillery, that's happening right now, and the illumination.
Okay, round. In terms of mortar fire and heavy artillery. Okay, I thought you meant troop clashes. Okay. Then, okay, I do want to get to a couple of these hands. I know, Karat, you've been waiting, and Shimon. So, Karat, do you want to go first, and then Shimon?
Yeah, thank you for giving me an opportunity. I would like to present my brief idea. First of all, I want to answer Mr. Sonu, as he mentioned that there is a lot of terrorist places that India have been attacked. I want to clarify you that I belong from Pakistan and I talk to my family. The places you have attacked is a mosque and there is a houses you have attacked right now, and you kill people. You don't kill terrorists, you kill innocent children. So please keep in mind that usually the people suffer are like normal people. They are not a terrorist. So like if you have that much capability, Mr. Sonu, I would perceive you to like forward your army to our places and like grab them and move it to your country and kill it instead of killing normal or like innocent kids or just an ordinary humans. So thank you.
Yeah, can I come now? So this is a very interesting argument. Okay, so the problem is that, have you seen where is the elite camp? How do they ask for Janaat from common Pakistanis? So the elite camps are in populated areas. They attack and go back to a populated areas. What do Indian forces do that in that case? This poly is being used. It's the terrorist who has to think. It's the Pakistani army who has to think. If they want to fight and take Kashmir, they should fight and take Kashmir. Why they are killing innocent people who are gone for a honeymoon to Pahalgam? It's summer in India. In some newly married couple for 5 days, they went for honeymoon. So where was your sympathy then?
That couple is alive.
That couple is still alive.
Sorry, Mr. Abdul. At that time, do Indian if Pakistani people attack at your Pahalgam, do your army was sleeping at the time, or are they like dead enough to understand what's going on? How can you supposed to say this thing?
Yes. So that's also another interesting question. Army cannot stop at every point, everywhere, right? If the terrorist attacks happening inside Pakistan, can I ask the same thing? Is Pakistani army sleeping? Okay, so you can. If Benazir Bhutto got called, is Pakistani army was sleeping? Okay, so the mistakes happen, right? 100 times terrorist attempt, they might succeed one time. See, you cannot hide behind people inside a school, inside a mosque, and then claim why you are attacking us. If you have, so instead of attacking this
Okay, so I've
terrorist, you
got
should have
some more
attacked the Indian
information
army.
here, guys.
Post
May I ask a question?
We've got some the Indian military says Pakistan has fired into Bimba Gali, a village near the LOC. The army said it is responding appropriately in a calibrated manner. That's a recent post on X. Let's see, what else have we got here? Most from flights avoiding. Okay, so we're already. If you look at flight radar, a lot of flights are already diverting out of Pakistani airspace, and that was something they also put on X. Oh, and this is quite an interesting actual piece of analysis here. Apparently, according to Al Jazeera, the strikes by India are the most extensive missile attacks and the territory it controls since 2019, when India bombed Balakot in Pakistan's Khyber province after a suicide bomber killed 40 Indian military soldiers in Kashmir. So this is quite a significant escalation, and more than we've seen in the past 5-6 years. For context, for those of you not familiar with the region, go ahead, Sonny.
I've got more information if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Any updates, from your perspective, or Indian news or Pakistani news? Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Piotr. So I can just confirm that the Pakistan retaliation has been just the border skirmishes, which India is responding in due and measure. But what is important is that what we have been able to find out is that Pakistani intelligence agency and the terror agency have been supporting and harboring these in the military garrisons away from Indian intelligence and US intelligence. American intelligence have foothold in Pakistan, but they've been trying to be hidden through these military garrison towns in Bhavalpur, Muridke, and Rawalpindi. These are the areas where these safe havens were there. India, with this particular target, has now said that not only we can identify you, but we'll hit you very much hard. Second, during this particular attack on Pulwama, on what happened on April 22nd, Pakistani army facilities were used to train these militants. And these army training camps were in Mangla and Kotli, which trained these operatives before they were sent into the across the Indian borders. What it implicates is the Pakistani intelligence agency and Pakistani army are in cahoots in these terror operations in India. And now India has been able to call them out. Thanks.
I would like to say that if you again and again say the Pakistani military was involved, so why you did not dare to attack the Pakistani military installations? Instead, you hit all the civilian targets here in Pakistan. All the 9 targets you say, although our sources, the Pakistani said the 5 targets were hit, but all these were the civilian targets. You did not dare to carry out a single attack against Pakistan. But while Pakistan hit all the military targets, whether it is along line of control, whether it was Srinagar airport, whether it was other places, so why one should believe that you sitting somewhere and say that Pakistan did not carry out
answer your question. Abdul, I'll answer your question. You also you indirectly answered it. There is no terrorist targets in India. There is no terrorist centers in India where Pakistani will attack. Okay, so India attacked the terrorist training centers.
No,
Let Pakistani attack the terrorist centers in India.
Why, on one hand you say that
Abdullah, you have been asking so many questions. Mario, if you are okay, can I take those questions?
No, you talk too much. I was just saying my question is simple.
I didn't even open my mouth. This is the first word I uttered to Mario.
Yeah, sorry guys, I was on the back
permission.
end. Yeah, Shoma, we haven't heard from you. You've had your hand raised for a long time. Please go for it.
All right, thank you, Piotr. Thank you so much. So a couple of things I'm going to address here, and with facts. So the question this guy, Mr. Abdullah, asked that Pakistan and there was another lady before that was saying that India bombed the mosque, etc. So here's something that we who lives in US or in the Western world needs to know about their situation and the way they play. Pakistan's tactics of hiding terrorists in mosques and then blaming India when those locations are targeted is a cynical abuse of religious sanctity. And basically what happens is, evidences repeatedly shows that top terrorists like Hafiz Saeed, Masood Azhar, They are sheltered in densely populated areas in Pakistan and often right next to mosque. And they go to mosque and madrasas under the protection of Pakistan states and military. This is known fact to everybody if we are not hypocritical. Now, this deliberate placement makes counterterrorism operation really difficult for any country and is intended to provoke outrage and deflect blame when action is taken. So these people, they don't want to accept that. Now, instead of owning up to this role, right, of a global hub of terrorism by the Pakistan states and Pakistan army and ISI, they blame it on the people who are actually the victim of terrorism, which is again the US, West, and definitely India. The world is not blind to this strategy. This alliances between mosque and military is well documented. Now, another proof. Think about what happened to bin Laden. This is the same country, right? Pakistan, that sheltered Osama bin Laden, the world's most wanted terrorist. And we all wanted, sitting in US, that guy to be dead for years in Abbottabad, just a stone throw distance from its premier military academy and deep inside military cantonment area. How would they justify that? Bin Laden compound was custom built and protected in a garrison town, raising serious questions about this complicity. So don't we understand? And then the person has, and I wanted to address this another question also he raised to Sonu, is that if you guys know that Pahalgam attack on April 22nd was basically planned and funded and architected by Pakistan, why don't you guys give evidence to Pakistan and the world? Here's my answer. Where is that? Okay, here's my answer, Mr. Abdullah. For decades, Pakistan has sponsored and harbored terrorism to India. Whether you talk about Parliament attack, whether you talk about Mumbai attack, 26 November, Pathankot, Pulwama, every single time India has provided detailed evidences, phone transcript, intercept, confessions, dossiers, even allowed Pakistan team to come to India and work with Indian officials.
So may I have the right to respond?
No, you don't, because you being a Pakistani, you need to understand the decency when somebody talks.
No, Shamu, Abdullah has the right to respond. He does.
Absolutely, but let me finish, right? Because I did not interrupt him. Just allow me one more minute. Maybe
yes, you have a
max
minute, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is that what Pakistan done, denied, delayed, or simply ignored the proof. Now, after Pahalgam, after 28 innocent people died, they were, and world should know, they were precisely killed by the Islamists just for being Hindu. And make no mistake, there's one question also, just being non-Muslims. That is the only crime they made, that they were not Muslims. That's why they were killed. And suddenly Pakistan and its supporters are demanding proof. Why shouldn't they provide that proof? The US did not ask for Pakistan, and 30 more seconds.
Shimon, if I can, sorry, just some
Sure.
news, an interesting development, not necessarily, but one of the interesting aspects that was shared by the Marius team just specifically is that right before the strike happened, I'll just read the title. Turkish warships and military planes arrived in Pakistan today, hours before India attacked. A Turkish warship and multiple C-130 military planes arrived in Pakistan as tensions escalates with India. And here's another update. India, so it kind of increases the amount of targets. India announced the destruction of 12, quote, terrorists, and strikes in Pakistan.
I would add to that, actually, SITREP I had seen earlier, but I didn't think to mention it, is Turkey has already sort of sent backdoor political, I don't know, words of solidarity to Pakistan, apparently. That's according to Turkish voice. So that's quite an interesting development.
I think. There is one quick thing.
Just 30 more seconds needed.
One moment.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, sir, please.
Okay. So let everybody know that Daniel Pearl was kept in Karachi Masjid for 32 days, Bahawalpur Masjid for 42 days. Okay. Daniel Pearl was nothing but Wall Street journalist who was beheaded in Pakistan just because he was a Jew. Okay, his wife was living in Mumbai. He traveled to Pakistan to do a documentary. So all these people are telling nothing happened in a masjid. Why masjid was attacked? Daniel Pearl was kept in a mosque. This is all documented by FBI charge sheet. by Pakistani federal agencies itself. So this is what happens in mosque. And if you attack mosque, these people cry saying that why you attacked mosque. Daniel, go and read the FBI charge sheet. He was kept in Bahawalpur Mosque for 42 days. Okay.
So I think, Sitrep, one of the interesting things
Yeah,
about
can I get my 30 seconds back?
Now I
Can I
think
get
I
my 30 seconds
I
back?
have the right to respond.
Yeah, I
please.
just want to raise one quick point, gentlemen, and then I will pick back up this exchange because news takes precedence across opinions. Just to be clear, I do think that this Turkish element's quite interesting, Sitrep. I mean, why would Turkey be? Apparently, they're talking on the phone, according to the team on the back end, that the PM of Pakistan and Erdogan of Turkey are in conversation at the moment. So, like, what would Turkey be hoping to get out of this exactly? What to you, Sitrep? I'm kind of curious as an independent military analyst. Sitrep, don't leave me hanging. Okay, if Sitrep isn't
I'm sorry, Piotr, say that one more time. I was doing
don't
something in
leave
the
me
background.
hanging.
Totally my bad.
No, I'm just curious what you think about the Turkish element because that's quite interesting for me.
I mean, I think Turkey again, but this kind of falls within the broader BRICS. I mean, we talked about China. I think Turkey has always been a very, if anything, I would make the argument, even though China calls Pakistan their all-weather ally, I think Turkey has been much more robust in its support with Pakistan. But at the same time, India holds a very key role in the emerging markets. And I think Turkey's going to have to play that very well. And then there's a deep understanding. This might be a situation where the United States, for purposes of negotiations, might rely heavily on Turkey because of their influence with Pakistan to kind of for more leverage and stuff like that. And so I can kind of follow a belief where Turkey is going to play a major diplomatic role and kind of be a voice for the Pakistanis, but at the same time, Turkey does have deep relationship with India. But in the end of the day, there's going to have to be a diplomatic solution mediated by an external power. I mean, right now, the only ones I can really see is the United States, Turkey, maybe the European Union, but China has done absolutely nothing.
China's not going to do anything. From being a China hawk, I can say that they don't have any desire to get involved. Right, the last thing they want is a hot war on their border. They like to be operating in the shadows, right? And just one last point on this: the UN chief has called for "quote unquote" maximum restraint. Interesting, he says, maximum. He really, I think it's clear that the European Union, the UN is very worried about this as well. Not that it's going to mean much, but whoever wanted to jump in there, I do want to get back to Abdul.
I think it's my turn to respond to so many questions.
Yeah, it's your turn, Abdul. Don't worry, I remember. So we're going to go to you, Abdul.
It was my 30 seconds.
Okay?
No, Piotr, it was my 30 seconds, right? Abdullah, my 30 seconds is still
I'm going to
left.
go to Abdul because Abdullah has been waiting.
But I did not answer the last 30 seconds, Piotr. Please give me last 30 seconds.
I will literally time you 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what I was trying to tell you is that, and Abdullah, that no other country wets to do that. Even US did not ask for Pakistan permission and provide evidences before taking out Osama bin Laden. Israel, Russia, China. Nobody holds press conference to justify that. So India owes no explanation to an habitual offender and a terrorist state to provide any evidences. The world has seen Pakistan's terror record and this plausible deniability game for decades, right? So you need to understand who you are and what you ask for from India. Thank you. Go ahead with your answer.
We've got new breaking news. India has activated all their defense units along its border with Pakistan. I don't know, Sitrep, if you can confirm that. But I'll pass it back to you, Abdullah, in the meantime, and then we might break in with some breaking updates, okay? Go ahead, Abdullah.
Okay, the first of all, the Daniel Pearl case, the gentleman twice mentioned that Pakistan arrested the culprits, and despite winning a court case, he is still under arrest. The OBL case, Pakistan did not know, and America also admitted that the Pakistan never knew that Osama bin Laden was there, and America never accused Pakistan. Pakistan is still a part of war on terror, and still Pakistan is non-NATO ally of United States. Pakistan played a vital role and sacrificed thousands of its people during its war on terror globally, while India did only lip service throughout. Regarding the previous attacks, Mumbai attacks, Pakistan arrested people here and they are still rotting in jail. 6 to 7 people are in Pakistani jail for the last 15 years. And Pathankot, when Pathankot had happened, Pakistan did register the case in Gujranwala at that time. So it is Pakistan always played responsibly whenever there was evidence provided by India, and Pakistan then played a role which a responsible nation place. Regarding the Pahalgam, I am not saying that you provide evidence to us. It is basically a responsibility of India to provide evidence to international community, because this is the area which is under the threat of a nuclear confrontation, is hosting 2 billion people. So just showing your hegemonic approach, that you are a big power and you can arm twist any smaller country, and that is not the way a big country should be. You should be providing evidence, and this was quoted by New York Times, that Indian foreign ministry could not provide any evidence. They said, and you are repeating that is the past pattern. Based on past pattern, now you have brought two countries on the verge of a war, and war is actually has begun at the night. This is the first night. What will be unfolding next coming of days? Who knows? We all, should pray that it should not escalate. But I think India should behave responsibly. What India is doing, it is irresponsible, putting at risk its own people and putting at risk our people and whole South Asia. This is the simple answer to your questions, please.
Okay, thank you, Abdullah. I'm going to restrain myself from asking a question to follow up on that, but we're now getting some more information here from News 18, India's News 18, that at least, quote, 12 terrorists have been killed and 55 injured in India's attacks on Pakistan. So,
Peter,
again,
I need to jump in because we're starting to get images directly from Lahore. I don't know if it's just general panic, but first it was kind of like these talks about tanks going on the streets. We're starting to get video footage of people evacuating the Lahore airport. It could just be a general sense of panic, but there was also kind of concurrent reports of tanks along Lahore, which is very close to the Indian border as well, and something to keep an eye on. So let me go quickly to John. John, if you were to see increased military movements, is this a specific area you'd be looking into to see kind of a military response, or how would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, largely, and I think we spoke about this a few days ago as well, we've already seen a significant pre-positioning of forces alongside the line of actual control. I mean, in and near this area, right? But also alongside other border areas. So I think using that as an indicator might be kind of misleading here, I think. What we would be looking for is a lot of preparatory strikes and things like that. A significant uptick in standoff fires being used by both sides. Would indicate either one side commencing a ground operation and or the other side trying to mitigate the effects of a ground operation is what we would see, just from a strictly tactical and operational standpoint. If I could quickly talk about the leverage, because Peter brought up a great point before talking about the Turkey aspect, and you spoke to it as well, Sirrep. Erdogan has kind of tried to tout, Turkey over the course of a number of different conflicts in the past couple of years, kind of like a champion of all Muslim nations. Turkey policymakers and maker adjacent, if you could call them that. People have been writing about this for at least a decade now. Kind of Erdogan's strategic outlook here, and so I definitely do agree that they would hold some level of leverage at least with Pakistan, or seek to gain that to try and mediate here. The effects of that remain to be seen. On the EU aspect is very interesting here. And I strictly talking about the EU, the Indo-EU aspect is because they're currently negotiating, as I understood it, a pretty large and significant free trade deal between India and Pakistan. Modi's trying to champion his Build in India initiative. The Atlantic Council highlighted this earlier this morning as well. And so it'll be interesting to see if the EU tries to exercise some of that as part of their negotiation of the trade deal, kind of de-escalate here. We'll give you some level of concessions under a certain aspect as we negotiate this ongoing. Thank you.
If I can jump in on Turkey and China. First of all, the Chinese have been very unequivocally clear that Pakistan is their all-weather friend. That policy has never changed once. Historically speaking, the Chinese have given diplomatic support to the Pakistanis. Many of the terror organizations that Pakistan shelters are protected from sanctions in the United Nations, courtesy of China's veto. This has happened most particularly in the United Nations Security Council. There's a whole host of number of organizations, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, many international forums where the Lashkar-e-Taiba has come up, that China has shielded and protected and continues to safeguard from any real accountability or sanctions or anything of that sort. Secondly, the Chinese have also been very clear about how they've been assisting Pakistan. As you know, CPEC, which is part of the Belt and Road Initiative of China, falls in Indian claimed Kashmir. There's components of Kashmir that are under the Pakistanis. The Chinese have their Belt and Road Initiative that goes right through that region. There are Chinese assets that are there. The Chinese have a big stake in this region. There are parts of Kashmir that China owns, that India claims as its own. So yes, China is definitely a part of this conflict. We need to remember that. There is no distance between China and Pakistan. They are very integral. They're very interconnected with each other. Approximately 60% of the entirety of the Pakistani military is made up of Chinese components. That is a very significant fact. The J-17 fighter jets are a big part of Pakistan's fleet and fighting force, at least. And then with regards to Turkey, Turkey is a NATO member. Pakistan's a major non-NATO ally. They're in a number of international forums together, the OIC. There's a Turkish compact that the two countries are in, I believe. And there's a number of economic agreements that binds the two countries. Erdogan is what they call historical revisionist. He claims a legacy with the Mughals, which owned India once upon a time and governed them. Pakistan views itself as a successor state to the Mughals, and the Turks have historically viewed the Mughal history of India as part of their culture because of the Turkic rulers that have ruled over that region. So there's a lot that is going on between those two countries, make no mistake about it. And I'll land the plane by saying India has responded to this by doubling down on its relationship with Greece, Armenia, and a number of other countries that have problems with Turkey.
Interesting. Yeah, Thank you for that quite big overview. I do want to just want to make one quick my own comment to that, and then I have a summary, which I think is a good point to just sort of refresh because there's been so much happening in the past 2 hours, hour and a half. Goodness me. Just on your point about China, so I think that's all very astute. I would say normally I'd agree with you basically 100%. The one difference that I have noted is though that China and India have been trying to restore relations for the first time since those border clashes in 2020, right? And both New Delhi and Beijing, I think, are quite keen to have an improved relationship. So
that was true. That was absolutely correct, Piotr. That's very true. Prior to the terrorist attack, and the Indian policymakers are noticing that there can't be a coincidence with regards to how India is eating China's lunch big time with regards to supply chains, and then all of a sudden this terrorist attack happens. Asim Munir is very close to President Xi. They have a very strong relationship. They've met each other. There's a strong military-to-military relationship. The fact that this terrorist attack has happened through Pakistani proxies and China's displeasure with the close Indo-US relationship does piss off the Chinese Communist Party. They've talked about it in the parliament. There's all academic papers on it. I don't think it's a coincidence. This rapprochement that is happening between India and China, I don't think it's going to last. And when the evidence comes out, which people are uncovering in the OSCE community, I think the Indians are going to change.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going as far as a rapprochement is a very specific word in international relations to define a very specific set of, resetting of relations. It's like Trump wants a rapprochement with Putin, right? We're not talking like a brief reset of relations. That's like a very significant. So that word is quite particular. I'm just saying that we have seen earlier in the year the Chinese and Indians trying to be a bit more communicative. But I want to bring it back to the here and now a little bit. I think that's worth pondering for longer. But so sort of what we know so far, right? The Indian government, this started off with the Indian government saying it launched strikes on Pakistan and Pakistani-administered Kashmir in response to last month's attack on tourists in India's administered part of Kashmir. Delhi said that 9 sites were struck, but no Pakistani military facilities were struck. Pakistani's military says 3 locations were hit, and that they would vow to respond. And that these sites were all civilian. None of them were militant or terrorist, as India had claimed. The Indian army says that Pakistan fired artillery across the dividing lines in Kashmir in response. And there's obviously a lot more information supposedly about some jets that were shot down, but that's not been confirmed at any point. Witnesses report explosions in Pakistan, Kashmir, near the city of Muzaffarabad. Footage also captures several loud explosions. Kashmir, which both India and Pakistan claim in full, but administered only in part, has been a flashpoint for these two countries since the partition in 1947, which is obviously, well, largely down to Britain and decolonization. So that's a recap from a mixture of different organizations. We've also got another bit of information here from people in Muzaffarabad and the LOC area. On both sides, residents said that they were jolted awake by explosions. More missiles struck, causing widespread panic and chaos. Children are crying. Women are running around trying to find safety. Dozens have been injured and rushed to a hospital about 25 kilometers away as people were fleeing their homes. And this is across the LOC, or a line of control, with explosions near Medhar and Bimber Gali after the Pakistan fired those artillery shots. Heavy fighter jet is ongoing over, let me see the pronunciation here, Srinagar, but so far there's not been any reports of actual inter-aircraft, what's the word, engagement, right? So there's not been any jets fighting one another. So that's a synopsis of what's been happening in the past couple of hours, if you've just joined us, and a careful reminder that this is a highly contentious, sensitive topic with two nuclear armed nations involved, and disputed territory in one of the world's most complicated parts of the world. So let's be cognizant of that when we're debating one another, please. But anyway, Sitrep, do you have any other updates that I might have missed?
I'm trying to confirm.
I have just received
Abdullah, just
visual.
give me a second. Abdullah, actually, let me ask you this. Abdullah, let me ask you this. Because this is something I'm trying to work on the background where we're on. Are you getting, because I'm seeing a video, it kind of reminds me of Russia, Ukraine, of Pakistani tanks on the streets of Lahore moving, a significant tank convoy heading there. I'm trying to confirm it myself. It does look like the video is new. It's not regurgitated old news. Are you seeing anything in Pakistan about tank movements in Lahore?
Because I am sitting in Islamabad, I cannot confirm anything, but we have seen troops movement during last 2 weeks towards the border, but not specifically right now. Right now, I got the visual from occupied Kashmir, and which I can confirm that an Indian plane was shot down from multiple sources, open source intelligence, and that went inside a school building. Its wreckage is there, and Pulwama. So, it means that the fighting is going on in the airspace, and one Indian plane, which I can confirm from the open sources, but from multiple sources, because the people who are talking on that wreckage, they are in the Kashmiri language. They speak the Kashmiri language. I will just send you the visual in your inbox. Let me send it to you, and you can confirm it.
Sure. Can I make a quick comment?
One more thing. Two names came to me from Kotli. One is a girl. Her name is Misbah Kausar. She was an MSc student, and her younger brother Umar Musa, he was in class 9. They were also killed in Kotli. They were brought to the district hospital, but they could not survive. So this is from the Kotli. 2 civilians killed in Indian attacks. Their names just came to me.
All right, so here's what I want to say. So Piotr, there's another guy with the handle name at Dr. Geopol. He's a geopolitical expert and specifically has a lot of knowledge specific to this particular conversation that we are having. In case you know him, he has already requested for Mike. Could you please accept his